All right.
All
A very
right.
good morning, guys.
A
And we
very
are
good
back with the Roger-And-Chakra show. And
and a very
I
tired
guess,
and a very irritable chakra having run around in the sun all week in the midday
yeah, I
sun,
guess,
because that's typically when the people chakra needs to interact with. Will we wake up and say, okay, barotar pore asben? I have no idea what this magic is about making people come at high noon, but there it is. From your doctor to your lawyer to your whoever, even the mystery, it's Barota for it. So Barota bajiye dilam kalke bank manager ke. Now I have the bank manager eating out of my hand. So at least that's the good thing achieved.
right.
One good thing done.
Yes, I heard that you had a pretty good experience in
Yeah.
the new
Two
bank.
days running,
Yes,
I had a good experience. So for the time being, we are done with bank managers, and for the time being, we can actually focus on the Roger-And-Chakra show.
absolutely.
And today's show is about the round table. We're going to have a round table conference. Anybody remember that round table conference in London? The one which we made to mug up
Ah,
in
my
our history
goodness.
books. Related to
That's a
India's
controversial roundtable conference.
freedom. You see, finally, you can be really empowered and really free only if you're at a round table. We have a world
That's
that
true.
is much too polarized. Why are there always two sides? You see, like, I know a number of friends, and I know my mother also. And see, my father argued in court. So, necessarily, there are two sides.
Okay.
Yet, there are so many facets. And this must have been very annoying to a person like my father, who was complex and nuanced, and I have taken that after him, after both my parents. My mother, equally complex, nuanced, liked metaphysical poetry of all things. And the same person loved debating. And she carried off debating trophies. To my eternal annoyance. Because in debating, one side has to win. According to me, the table is round.
Exactly.
Like the good old song, a circle only has one side. Have you heard the song?
Yes.
I'll
Yes.
play the song in a bit. And
Okay.
it's that's basically the whole point is in life. Actually, the world is round. Maybe some people think it's flat. From where we are standing, it is always flat. If we would be decidedly uncomfortable if we were always walking on a curve.
Yeah, that would be very
So whatever
uncomfortable.
be that curvature, it is too much for us to handle. So as
It's
far
true.
as we are concerned, from point A to point B, it's linear. It's not a curve. Unless we are up on the mountains, we are essentially walking on flat ground.
Right.
So, so too with people in ordinary day-to-day living. And I guess this is why it is convenient to be on one side or the other.
That's what
Because
that's what we learn.
because we
Yes.
don't have the fish's eye view or the chameleon's eye view or the fly's eye view. You see, unfortunately, we have limited vision.
Exactly.
And therefore, the easiest way for us to move is in a straight line.
That's
Unless
true.
you are in Kolkata traffic, in which case you can never move in a straight line. So you do learn a little bit about And especially if you're a delivery person, you
Yes.
never move in a straight line. And if you're chakra incognita trying to dodge the delivery people and walk on the road, you're not in a straight line either. So I guess I've got used to moving, to act to moving like a snake appears to move, even though that snake is actually moving in a straight line, poor thing. So, I mean, I know this is weird philosophizing, but I guess after several days dealing with ridiculously mundane things like banks and customer service, which Roger is doing, I think writing emails, or I don't know what exactly Roger does in the middle of the night, but it's definitely very hard on Roger. So bear with him. He's making his zombie face this morning, and I'm trying to
Yes, please do.
compensate for it by grinning a little extra. But I don't know if this is working out for us. Anyway, I came across while I had spoken yesterday, I had written rather about this continuous, this polarization, this side or that side. And if you say something, the other person has to go diametrically opposite, sit there and shout at you. So how about that person just
Exactly.
being in the seat next to you and allowing your realities or your perception of reality to mutually seep a little? Isn't that a much more comfortable way of being? I mean, when you share a meal with people at the table, you sit around the table, even if it's a square or a rectangular table, and you pass food around the table. And years
Exactly.
ago, I came across at some tables where people had, where people were really too tired or too lazy, or I won't use the word lazy because I think this is a pretty intelligent device. And I discovered just today that there's a turntable that sits in the middle of the table with the food, all the food loaded on it in a circle. And you can, that thing swivels around to halt in front of whoever needs it, and that person picks up whatever food they need from it, whichever item. So, item comes
Exactly.
before
Yes.
you without any human intervention, which makes it very convenient. The next step would be, to robotically serve that item into your plate, but I think I'll stop short of that because I, for one, am exceedingly nuanced in the way I pick up food. If I have to serve myself, I have a certain way of taking the food out and putting it into my plate, which perhaps reflects who I am. And if you sit as a family at a dinner table, you pick up all the nuances of how each person eats. You too
Right.
would have noticed that people express
Yes.
themselves in their manner of relating to their food. So what
True.
is your food? Your
Yes.
food is basically your input. You're processing it. You're processing it in the company of others as equals with these others, not as opponents in an argument or a debate.
True.
So you're sitting together, you're sharing that food, you're agreeing on some of it, you may be disagreeing on some of it, but it doesn't matter. And you pass your tastes back and forth between people. As in, somebody says, haven't you tried this? Have a little bite of this. And some, like typically whoever is hosting says, I made this, I got this, I learned to make this from XYZ. I've put my own little twist into it. Have a try. Some people are reluctant to try. Some people look at it and freak out and want to run the other way. Other people say, give it to me, let me try it. Some people try it solo.
Exactly.
Okay, let me just taste it. Some people, adventurous people like me, we first try it out. Then we look at the other items on our plate and say, hey, maybe I could blend this with this. I think this would go very well with this. So I try to mix up those two items a little and eat them together. Isn't that complex? Isn't that nuanced? Isn't that full of all the layers of
That
flavor
is
of
very
life?
nuanced.
It symbolizes exactly that. And I came to know, as I love turntables, coming from the good old days where we played our music on turntables, today I discovered that turntable is called a lazy Susan. I said lazy
Yeah.
Susan.
Yes.
Do
That's the
you have
name
a
of the
friend
turntable.
called Susan who is lazy? Does
Mm-hmm.
anybody here have a friend called Susan who is lazy? I'm not going to tell you the background to Lazy Susan because I discovered it just this morning. And of course, there will be 101 urban legends on this. I also discovered it's a song from a movie. And I turned on the song just now, and somebody was rapping in Chinese. So Roger, I suggest you look for a song called Lazy Susan and try to
Okay,
figure
I'll
that
surely
song
look
out
into
and
it.
try and figure that song out. There may be several songs called Lazy Susan. I think I will write one. But here we are about a lazy Susan that spins around for the convenience of people who are sitting at a round table and sharing food. So when can we alter aliens? Because we are all altered aliens with respect to one another.
Yes.
And the moment you
Yes.
think of yourself as an alter alien and not a counter alien, you
That's
at,
that's perfectly placed actually. Yes.
at that
Because
point,
hmm,
yes, at that point, one one degree of alienation is reduced.
absolutely.
You come
Absolutely.
closer to each other and you say, hey, what is an alien? Are you an alien? Am I an alien? Who is an alien to who? We are just altered aliens.
Exactly.
Which
Exactly.
means we are just we do is to we have alternative points of view.
That's it. That's what I
That's
was
all.
trying to say. Yes.
And
Yes.
practically speaking, a limited number of people can sit at a table, a round table. Even say for practical purposes, even if 360 of us can sit.
Yes. Yes. That's true. But then again,
In
if we take in
principle,
the concept
it's
of
infinite number of viewpoints, right?
yes,
And
that's the
it's a
thing.
continuum. It's a continuum. So
Yes.
it is like this is exactly why there we have a concept of a multiverse, and yet when
Yes.
you use a word like multiverse, it becomes countable. But I don't think it's countable.
Yes. It's not. It's not.
From my perception, it need not be countable. I don't know,
I
maybe
mean,
all my maths training is kicking in and I'm talking this weird stuff this morning.
no. See, you gave a really nice example when you talked about the food. Okay,
Yes.
how we consume the food. For example, let's say I have three items and I combine them in different combinations,
Hmm.
different quantities, and then I consume them. So
Hmm.
that's one thing. Let's say the food items are basically your perspectives, your points of views.
Hmm.
Now, if me and you are having dinner,
Hmm.
you bring in one food item, I bring in another,
Yes.
and when we are eating it or when we are consuming it, at the end of the day, I am left with fragments of what you have brought for us, and you are left with fragments of what I have brought in the table, right?
Yes.
Now later on, these fragments, they stay. When it's a point of view, when it's a food, it doesn't stay. It basically, it gets digested, it gets inside you. But then again, when it's a perception, it stays. That combination, um that flavor, uh that stays. And when you take that flavor, that fragment of each other to a different table in some other time, even that combination combines with a different combination, and it's an infinite number of combinations that we can have, and we can explore, because it's always changing. We're always meeting new people, and we're always having different and new points of view. There's no point in sticking on with just one linear thought process, because why do so when you have the option to have so many.
So, as an offshoot of this, that flavor
Mhm.
stays with us. That
Yes, it
flavor
does.
stays with us long after it has left our palate and gone into our stomach and got digested. It stays with
Exactly.
us in mind and memory.
Yes, it
You
does.
can recall that flavor. When do you recall it? When you meet it again. You identify it. You say, hey, I've been there before. So,
Yes,
what happens actually is something more complex happens with that flavor. How you have perceived it is as a flavor, but you also perceive and process it at so many other levels. It goes down, it's food, it gets digested, it does something to you, it releases some energy to you when it is digested. What
exactly.
exactly it releases to you could have everything to do with what you have in your gut. You know, your gut intelligence, your individual gut intelligence.
You're back. You're back.
We are back to our favorite subject, and now everybody's favorite subject, the subject that everybody loves to hate and loves to deny. We are going to, sorry guys if you don't like us for it, but we are going to be exploring all these forbidden territories.
Absolutely.
I
Absolutely.
started with a website called Terra Incognita. My name Incognita comes from that. I derived my pen name, my stage name from my screen name. It's all three from the website Terra Incognita, because I didn't know quite what to call it. I was in a totally new field exploring. So I just out of nowhere named it that. And there you are. Well, it's always uncharted country. At some level, it is always uncharted country. So be
Yes,
open to it. You don't
exactly.
know everything, you have not seen everything. Your assumptions are always open to question.
Absolutely.
And they're open to question by you. If you don't continuously, coming back to the continuous evaluation, which was, a hoax and a sham in college, I've spoken about this in one of my earlier alienation talks. You, I think, definitely uh, evaluate your assumptions in that continuum, because things around you are changing.
Exactly. That's true.
The
That's
lazy
very true.
Susan comes your way and it comes your way again. And the next time it comes your way, it is a different lazy Susan, because the contents have changed. You see, people have, if it's a potluck, you have multiple hosts. Everybody is hosting. Everybody may be topping up that dish with something. If it's hosted, your host will be refilling those serving dishes.
Absolutely.
They will all be depleted in different forms and degrees, depending on who ate what, how they ate, at what pace they ate. So you see, if you think of the knowledge around you, and say you say this is how sambar is supposed to taste, or this is how shandesh is supposed to taste. No, it is a lot more nuanced than that. We could have a shandesh potluck where everybody brings in the same shandesh made by their sweet maker, their sweet shop, their favorite sweet shop. And you're going to get several different kinds of shandesh there. One will not be like another.
Exactly. That's true.
So it is like, okay, you will be able to identify all of them as shandesh. And that's about it. There may be even a very deviant one that calls itself shandesh. And you say, hey, but this tastes more like my birthday cake. Maybe because some alien flavors found their way into it, which are not quite, in keeping with the history and evolution of Sandesh. So
Exactly.
we are really going to to a very deep level today. Maybe we are both in the semi-sleep state, and so we are
Yeah, that's
dreaming whatever comes from our subconscious. And of course, Zoom is bullying us. And
it always does.
Zoom always brings us back to earth with a crash. It tells us your lazy Susan is empty. All the dishes are empty. Go on now. Go cook some more. Fetch more food. Fill up that lazy Susan. Bring everybody back to the table and let the table go around again. Let lazy Susan spin. I wish lazy Susan would spin some music.
Yeah. I wish
But
so.
it is music,
You know?
really. It is the music of each person's response to the food they see. And that's music. Some people express it. They say, hey, that
Yes.
looks good. Hey, I want more of that. Somebody says, uh, please shift it this way because I'm looking at that biryani. Or somebody says, hey, I want that tomato chutney. So can you just give
There's
that
so many different
person a little spin?
expressions.
Yes. And there are all the expressions on the faces which show you the response, the nuances in the voices which show you the
Yes.
response. So what we are really having is having a conversation around that food. We are having fellowship. We are having these permeable borders between one another, and we are steeped in the vibe of one another. Whether we agree, whether we disagree. Somebody says, no, I'll give that biryani the pass. Somebody says, I'll give that fish the pass. Then another one persuades them and says, hey, don't be so prejudiced against fish. Just give it a try. You don't even have to pick it up from there. Take a small bite from my plate. There are so many ways of exchanging ideas and thoughts. I mean, we are
Exactly.
missing out on all of it, and all this is possible online. All of this is possible, yet we miss out on the best part of it because we take a stand and we fight everyone who disagrees with that stand, and that is about all.
That's the thing. We don't we don't wait a while to question our own thoughts.
Never, 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 never. And that's what has brought the world to the state it is into. And this is why we repeat our mistakes over and over and over again. And sometimes our mistakes end up killing us.
Yes. And we end up becoming the counter aliens, not the alter aliens.
Yes,
That's
so
what
I
happens.
would say always don't be a counter radiant.
Yes. That's what happens,
But
no?
spirit spiral healing, if you may remember, in our, let's call it our manifesto, because I'm turning this into a right royal campaign now for spirit spiral healing services. But as per our manifesto, we look at these shifts, gentle shifts. we are not looking at this kind of, opposition and debate, and one side has to win. You have to take a stand. You have to defend your stand. No.
Exactly. Exactly.
I think we are over and done with that way of doing things. It's always there. It's always there as plan Z. Never give it up. Always learn that skill. It's worth teaching that skill in school. It's
Absolutely.
worth
It's
using
work.
it in the court if you have to deal with the present court system. Though I can tell you that the entry point of our court system is deeply flawed. A case like the one filed against me should never have been entertained, never have been served to me without first examining the case itself. Whether that person had any validity or not. What was that person standing even in the universe? So I would suggest we do things differently. You see, we have this, everybody has a right to attack everybody else in court. Big deal.
Yes.
But fair enough. Then why go banning somebody's book? Why keep calling something hate speech? After all, a case like this, done malified, is actually a kind of hate speech to accuse me of something, right? And to make me defend myself in court, which is, it seems completely unfair.